Imagine a top NBC news director sitting in his office, watching a reel of unedited outtakes from the Apollo 11 mission. As the footage plays, he turns pale white and falls back in his chair in absolute stunned horror. He clasps a hand over his mouth and admits that what he is seeing proves we didn't go to the moon. But when asked what he intends to do with the footage, his answer is blunt. He refuses to broadcast it, terrified that airing the truth would incite a civil war. Welcome back to the Bookish Breakdown. Today marks the grand finale of our series exploring Bart Sibrel's explosive book, Moon Man. We are pivoting away from the lunar surface to focus on the exact system that Sibrel claims keeps these secrets buried, a consolidated, highly coordinated media matrix. If you appreciate deep dives into controversial and thought-provoking literature, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to support independent research. Systemic suppression relies on corporate gatekeepers who prioritize social stability over objective reality. That initial executive sphere was not an isolated case. Later on, a new independent-minded producer at NBC arranged to feature Sibrel's Apollo footage on a Discovery Channel special. The network flew Sibrel to New York, put him up in the Waldorf Astoria, and filmed a comprehensive interview. Despite the tight lid on the production, NASA somehow found out about the confidential television project before it could hit the airwaves. NASA contacted the network and issued an explicit ultimatum. They warned NBC and all its affiliates that if they broadcast the footage, the space agency would permanently sever their exclusive live camera feeds aboard the International Space Station. Faced with losing that vital programming asset, NBC folded. They scrapped the tens of thousands of dollars they had already invested in the production and quietly buried the story forever. Supposedly independent media organizations choose to participate in government cover-ups when threatened with the loss of exclusive access and technological perks. Sibrel argues the NBC incident is a localized symptom of a much larger structural issue. Today, 95% of all news media is operated by exactly 6 multi-billion-dollar corporations, and the ties go well beyond corporate monopolies. In 1977, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Carl Bernstein published a report revealing that over 400 American journalists were secretly carrying out assignments for the CIA, with full consent from leading news managers. Sibrel suggests this infiltration has only deepened. He hypothesizes that unaccounted-for trillions from the Pentagon budget are now used to quietly purchase and control modern social media and communication platforms. He even points to legendary CBS anchor Walter Cronkite, who allegedly told fellow lodge members that their true task was not to tell the truth, but to be opinion molders. This convergence of corporate consolidation and documented intelligence agency history suggests a press corps that functions as an extension of the state, manufacturing a specific reality for public consumption. Look at the physics of lighting. Because the sun is massive and millions of miles away, its light rays travel parallel, casting perfectly parallel shadows. But watch what happens when the light source changes. Intersecting shadows only occur when a close, artificial point light is used. Now look at this official Apollo surface photograph. You can clearly see shadows cast by the astronaut and the flag intersecting at severe, jagged angles. When educational programs like National Geographic and Mythbusters tackled this exact anomaly, they set up their own tests. They dressed actors in spacesuits and illuminated them using a single electrical light source in a dark desert or inside a studio. Sure enough, their shadows intersected. But by using a close electrical light, they recreated the exact film studio conditions Sibrel claims NASA used. To prove the photos were taken in actual sunlight, they would have needed to run the test outside at high noon. The result is a closed loop of logic. Trusted educational programs protect the official narrative by using the very film studio conditions they are supposedly debunking. Because the media and government are compromised by blackmail and manipulated science, Sibrel insists the system cannot be repaired through minor adjustments. It has to be rebuilt from scratch. His solution is the creation of a free press co-op. This would be a totally independent journalistic entity, funded exclusively by a $12 billion fraction of the annual defense budget. The mechanism to keep it honest is radical. All journalists and members would be selected purely by a random lottery system. Furthermore, all existing radio and television networks would be required by law to broadcast the co-op's findings. Relying entirely on random selection and isolated public funding eliminates the financial leverage and corporate bias that dictate what gets reported today. Sibrel doesn't stop at journalism. He proposes expanding this lottery concept to the entire U.S. government, pointing back to the world's very first democracy in ancient Greece, which thrived for 500 years using lottery-chosen citizens instead of professional politicians. Replacing elections with a lottery-based legislature would instantly neutralize the influence of campaign finance, corporate lobbying, and intelligence agency manipulation. There would be no political favors left to repay. Under this system, the lottery-elected legislature would nominate executive candidates, who would then debate exclusively on the free press co-op networks. This would be paired with strict one-term lifetime limits and a constitutional convention held every 10 years. Sibrel leaves his readers with a final warning. The public must break free from the hypnotic trance of mainstream media propaganda, or we will remain sleepwalking victims of an unchecked power structure. That wraps up our deep dive into Moon Man and this chapter of the Bookish Breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel as we prepare to unpack even more controversial books in the future. Ultimately, true democracy and objective truth cannot exist as long as the mechanisms of information and governance remain commodified, centralized, and controlled.